Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I'll be your friendly shop steward today because today we are carrying on with our ongoing campaign playing Paizo Publishing's excellent fantasy RPG, Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and we are using that game to play in our custom Coalpunk setting of the Spires of Paridar, a setting of class disparity, occult conspiracy, and supernatural mystery, I guess. Oh, industrial progress. That's my byline usually. And with me tonight are the stars of the Spires of Paridar campaign. We are about to kick off a brand new mystery in this, which will give the title for at the end of the session. I think the players already know the name of this already, but we'll re-announce that at the end of the session. But first, let me introduce you to the stars of today's session. I'll go the order I've got you guys on the screen here. Why don't you tell us who you are and who you're playing? First up, we've got Darren.
Okay, Darren here. I'm playing Dr. Adam Ersprung, who is a created flesh warp. He's mainly a doctor, but also an inventor, and he's got his trusty sidekick, Igor.
Very nice. Next up is Ingolf.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ingolf. I'm playing Basil Rathbone, who is an Asoki detective or investigator, as the class is called.
Very nice.
We see what's in for us, I think. Yeah.
Nice. And last, but certainly not least, is James.
Hi, I'm James. I'm playing Sally Dumaire, Azarketi, martial artist and consumer of sushi.
Very nice. So, last session we played one of our intermezzo sessions where we transitioned from not only a previous adventure, but the previous session to that we had done our 2-year overview, and then previous to that we'd played a war story using Starfinder. But what do you guys recall having happened last time? We did end on a cliffhanger, and we'll start with that again, so let's deal with that last. But what else do you guys recall happening last time?
The doctor took on a new doctor, Mary McKinnon.
Yep.
To work at the clinic. Basil was a bit worried about Sally with all this prophecy stuff. That was a sort of just on the back of his mind.
I'm sure it'll work out fine.
Yeah, I'm sure it will as well. But it's causing a little bit of concern. But the main thing was there was a sickness that started up in the livestock part of town. And it was spreading. Well, it affected quite a few people. There'd been a few deaths, a few sort of workers. So that was something we was investigating, and that's where we come across a new group of investigators who were also looking into it. A company called IOU. Was it Illumination? What did it stand for? Illumination.
It is.
It's an observation, wasn't it? I didn't write it down.
I have it in my chat. So I can look through my notes, but I'm pretty sure I put it in. In chat, it's probably I'll find it faster that way.
I wanted to write it down.
Oh, I may stand corrected here.
I can't see it. I think it was Illumination Observation or.
Yeah. Let's see here.
While you're looking for that, then yeah. So we did a stakeout of this livestock warehouse, or a couple of the warehouses where it seemed to be these people were getting ill. It only seemed to be on a certain shift, and so we were sort of staking it out overnight. And this is where we met this group who had seemingly been doing a similar thing, and they'd found this summoned demon and dispatched it just before we could get to it. And they were gloating and trying to rub our noses in it.
The Illumination Operations Unit.
Operations Unit.
Isn't that also the title of some GURPS book?
Quite possibly.
IOU, I think.
IOU is definitely, yeah, that's the, what do you call it? It's their, Illuminati trilogy source book, I think.
Yeah.
The card game that shows up in a lot of QAnon message boards. Oh my goodness. So you were saying, and
so these 4 individuals. There was one that was a sort of been affected by the vampire serum.
Yep.
There was a catfolk one. So
did I not give? I didn't give handouts for it yet.
Crucius Kane,
Lucius Griffin,
Crucius Kane,
Annabelle O'Laughlin. Yeah, Crucius Kane was the catfolk.
She was the leader, wasn't she, Annabelle?
Yep. And then a face you recognized, actually. 2 faces, technically.
Yeah. What's his name? Sepulchre.
Sepulchre, that's correct.
Yeah. Who we briefly worked with. He was also in the group. Basil had a bit of a conversation with him, didn't you?
Yeah. And there's also the ghost of our former colleague, I think he was called Henry Ducard, and the ghost of his brother.
Yes.
Like
Matthias Ducard.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm pronouncing it German. Yeah, Matthias. Yeah. So
Matthias,
Matthias. Yeah.
It's a German name. It's probably correct then. You know. That was the most fun thing, is cheekily being able to tell all the European players yesterday when I was fucking up all the French names. I'm like, you guys are all playing Americans. You're doing it wrong, not me. Sorry, you were saying, yes, you met Matthias and Sepulchre?
Yeah, so we had a bit of a chat with them. They're obviously a bit of a rival investigation group now, or illumination company, looking into various things throughout the town, no doubt. We're going to bump into them once again.
Yeah, but they're not totally independent. I mean, they're just a sub-company of Doug's Paridar Detective Agency, so it's not like they're, I don't know.
Yeah, they're working for him, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
A subsidiary, yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the rest of the session, we were sort of looking into this demon. I was working with Dr. Taylor, who was trying to help me with the outbreak of this disease, and I was going to speak to that's Dr. Taylor. I was going to speak to our friend at the college, Professor Galbury, about the demons, but back at our base, Basil and Sally were visited by Sir Barnabas Steele from the Holy Order, I believe.
Yes. I completely fell down on the job on handouts last time, guys. I have like nothing fucking loaded here. Jeez. Let me get. I know I loaded Barnabas Steele recently, so let me get that up for you.
Barnabas Steele was worried that, you know, the demons and creatures are finding it easier to make their way through.
Yeah, actually, he was worried about something else, but also he talked about that.
Yeah, what else was he worried about?
He was talking to us because he wanted to know if we would know something about this how he was called, Hannibal Ducard, because he was seen with the Guile father and the vampiric children, and he wanted to get rid of them.
The vampires again, wasn't he? Or the vampire serum.
Yeah, and that this kind of thing would spread and they would now openly attack and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because he also mentioned about that there was some birds that were drinking people's blood as well, wasn't it? So there seemed to be a bit of a sort of a rise in the amount of sort of vampiric activity in the town or the city again. And he showed you some photos of some of the victims.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, those victims had a very different marking on them than the typical
handprints,
with something else accompanying it. orcish script.
Orcish magic.
Oh yeah, yes.
Oh, yeah.
The orcish script, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which is why he was happy that Golag was not able to attend.
But I know, I mean, we can read orcish, we just can't read magic. I mean. That is,
Yeah, and then I think where we left it was Basil was having some strange dream.
He was. So I've got Sir Barnabas Steele in your handouts now. Slowly making progress. 1 out of 7 new things introduced last time. That's not bad. All right. Then, our scene opens then, once again, where we left things. Basil, what do you remember about the beginning of your dream?
actually, right now, I'm totally blank.
Okay. So you know what? Then we will do the helpful. Ingolf has been exploring the Murder, She Wrote library.
Oh, yeah.
So
I did. That's how maybe I lost my memory.
good luck getting that fucking theme song out of your head, because even mentioning it right now, I've got that song in my head. So what you see, Basil, where we left you.
Oh yeah.
Was waking on, you remember collapsing into bed, exhausted from the day's investigations and pursuits and whatnot. You nearly fell from that the stockyard warehouse at one point, but you certainly did not fall asleep in a hard wooden surface that was rocking gently back and forth. And when you looked up, you saw
I remember
stars.
now,
What do you remember? I'll let you. I'm going to do a lot of talking
I think
in a moment.
I was on a boat, basically on the open sea.
Correct.
And I think I heard voices, or one voice, I can't remember right now. But the problem was I did not see someone. Did I see someone? No.
You looked up and saw that the stars seemed to be falling across the cloudless sky. And when you looked underneath you, you saw titanic, strange Leviathan shapes moving underneath those dark waters. And you heard low cackling coming from the end of the boat, and perched on the very prow of that rowboat without any oars, you saw a pestle which had a large mortar set into it, and perched within there, an old woman.
Ooh, yeah.
With different colored eyes, one yellow and one violet, who grinned at you with iron teeth. And I believe that is where we left things.
I remember the pestle, because I had to resist making a joke about the pestle and the whistle.
And can I recommend that you don't eat cheese just before bed going forwards? This is giving you very bad dreams.
Like that would be cutting out like 90% of his diet, I think. But
yeah.
So, Basil, you look up.
Parmesan is no cheese; it's just dried up, so that's not cheese anymore, isn't it?
So she is grinning at you, and you can see the glint of the cold iron teeth set in her hideous face. Oh, and your boat had been bumped as well, too, so it was gently moving.
Yeah. Just because, I mean, my character would know. So we in the war, we fought some hags. Mm-hmm. This is somehow one of those? No.
Let's get things rolling with, why don't you give us an occultism roll, or occult roll? Because I think... there's a bare level of information you'll know already from your time in the war.
I don't remember the war, but I remember it.
Mm-hmm. So, as a reminder, average target number for your level, I think it's 23.
I rolled a 4, I think. I just roll again, come on.
It sounds good.
This can't be... Yeah, I rolled much better.
22. You guys are you level 6 or level 7 now?
Level 7,
23, we're level 7.
Level 7, who let that happen? Jesus. 23. is the number.
Yeah. It's just I'm so tired. Maybe I just
well, I mean, you know that there is hags, so I think like the association with the enemy, you know, during the war definitely would be something you would make, but you wouldn't make anything beyond that.
Yeah, I even don't remember the name of our enemy other than it was the enemy.
Precisely.
That is, yeah. So I would say the thing that Basil does, if he does not know and pretends he knows more than he does. So have we met?
Not yet, Mazarathbone. But I know you.
Oh. And how so?
Your troubled heart calls to me.
That might even be the case, yes.
You have no one to trust.
Yeah, somehow that is not totally wrong. Yeah, and you are here for me to trust you.
You don't trust grandmother.
No.
You're a clever rat. It is wise. Grandmother is crafty and quite capable, but can be quite knowledgeable.
And somehow in the course of that first little bit of conversation, you realize that the eyes have switched. The one that was yellow is now purple, and the one that was violet is now yellow.
Interesting. That is something I actually associate with the enemy, because I think we saw something like that with the two different colored eyes amongst them. There was this general or something we talked to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sally's would-be suitor had a similar affliction or...
I mean, so you why exactly are you talking to me? I guess you somehow came into my...
Because grandmother loves you and would have you unburden your heart.
Oh, yeah.
You are so alone, and grandmother would not see you suffer so.
Okay, so, and what do you offer?
There is a gleam and almost a glow that comes to that yellow eye, which is now switched once again.
Oh, you would bargain.
Yeah, I learned that this is exactly the situation where you have to bargain. At least for your life.
Tell me your troubles, and grandmother will tell you how I can help. I know you worry of the stars, and I know you worry of the deep.
Yes. I worry very much about the deep. Have you heard about some ancient legend of creatures?
Terrible threats.
Yeah, so I guess, I mean, I don't know about your abilities, but at least I can say mine are confined to this realm. So if this ceases to exist, then I'm dead, and also anyone around me. Maybe you can escape, but I'm not even sure about that.
Oh, little rat. Your value is so much stronger. You needed and valued. The master of the white blossoms. He values you, and grandmother values you greatly.
That is nice to hear. Thank you.
The master and grandmother. Neither would see the deep rise, though.
Good to hear.
You are known to my daughters. Seek them out. They will offer you insight.
Okay.
And all I would ask of you, such a paltry thing.
And she runs her nails, which you now realize are also iron, across her grinning teeth, and there's sparks that fly out from it. She goes up and pulls a single strand of hair forward, and then like a knife cutting, cuts one strand of her hair. And she says, "But give me your hand, Basil, and grandmother will watch for you." And she begins slowly, like, winding the hair around as if it was, and it's coiling almost like it's soft metal, spooled out.
So I'm not sure whether I understood what she told. So she will watch out for me, or she will watch into the future for me, or you don't know. Okay.
You can ask.
Yeah. So what exactly are we watching for? But I would move a little bit closer, so not to give some signs of reluctance.
So as you get closer, there's the smell of almost like it's like walking past a bakery, of a smell of sweet things and fresh baked bread and the fruits, and then there's just a hint of rot and corruption that hits your nose, and then it goes back to that smell once again as you get in closer.
I smell what's going on, but I think I have to take your offer, don't I?
Your heart is your own, Basil. Grandmother does not force on any of her grandchildren. And my daughters will help you. So.
And that grin is somehow even larger now. And curiously, both of her eyes are currently yellow.
Yeah. I think I will have to pass on your offer then.
Oh! She leans back.
You wounds, grandmother. But
really?
grandmother is wise and knows that some children require more time.
Thank you, grandmother.
She places this sort of spooled up hair, which kind of cascades down. You see it's almost like a ring now of this white, the way it sits, you would think it was like spooled copper wire or something like that.
I see. Yeah. I understood. Yeah. I think I'm not ready yet to know whom I serve.
The eyes are back to violet, both of them, and then switching again.
You contemplate, but your enemies do not wait. They do not prevaricate. Make your mind sharp and fast.
Yeah. How can I reach you or your daughters? Will you find me in my dreams again?
She looms forward over you, and it's this dreamlike, impossible size where she is suddenly 3-4 times the size she was, leaning out of that pestle. And she says,
I have my eye on you, child.
And she leans down. You seem paralyzed in place, and she plants a tender kiss on your forehead, and you awake in your bed. In the lights that are coming through from outside, from the starfall, you catch a glimpse of the spooled white metal ring sitting on your nightstand.
Okay, I will take it and have a look at it. But not put it on directly.
When you first touch it, you can hear once again. And then it goes away. It feels cool, as if left out in a much colder environment.
Yeah, I understand. I guess I would put it in a handkerchief and then put it into my pocket.
Okay.
Because you never know.
And for
then I think
briefest moment, you can feel that touch on your forehead once again.
And then I think so. Adam is in his clinic, but Sally is in her.
Makes you soaking.
Yeah, in your bathtub. So maybe I would go over and knock on your door, although it's in the middle of the night.
So, Sally, you were otherwise having a very comfortable or very relaxing evening, but which is disturbed by the distorted sound. I'm assuming you're underwater when you sleep, so you would hear the kind of the sound distorted by the level of water atop you.
Bubbles. Right. Get out.
Okay.
Get my robe on. And
if you open the door.
What time do you call this?
Sally, I think we have to talk.
All right. What about? You need some milk or something?
Yeah. If only. So no, actually I had a dream. One would call it I was contacted by, about the war that was fought in Paridar even before you came here?
Yes.
So one of the enemy side contacted me through some kind of dream magic I can't understand. But they basically offered me some assistance with the what were they called? Harbingers of the Deep, or something like that.
7 Sages of Sorrow.
Seven Sages of Sorrow. I just can't remember.
This is ridiculous alliteration on it.
yeah.
I blame the author. Who the fuck was that guy?
Yeah. And she actually she offered that she could help her daughters. So some witches might help us finding something against that. So far I did not take the offer because we have to check whether we really want to ally ourselves with the enemy of former times. But I think people are watching us very closely.
Any idea who? And you realize this was a dream, right? It's the middle of the night.
No, that's not a dream. I can just open I pull the handkerchief out of the pocket. She gave me this, and this is not a dream.
Sally, you can give us an occultism roll if you'd like. Oh, everyone gets a hero point, by the way. It's 12:30. My time.
That wasn't so good. Maybe I'll use it again. Let's do that again for the sake of it.
So it means nothing to you. But this is not, I mean, I think your area, is it your, no, it's not your area of expertise, I don't think.
I guess we will find out what it is, but that's not my main concern right now. My main concern is another thing she said. She said that she and the Master of the White Blossoms were having an eye on us. So that so this means, and I would check if there are white blossoms around.
If you look outside the window at the end of the hall, I think you can see there is a tree that has those same invasive white blooms of Paridar growing out of it.
We are dealing with forces who are much, much stronger than I would have suspected.
Oh. So what are you thinking? You're going to come in with a pact for this enemy?
Right now, I would... So, talking about the war, I think neither Adam nor Golek were part of the war. It was only Hannibal was at the war, I suppose. But
yep, Hannibal's a veteran. You're a veteran.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what other vets you know. I think that
don't mention the war yet.
Yeah. Who else was? You know that.
Maybe Sir Archibald or something.
Archie.
Like
that's
that.
what I was thinking. Yeah. Archie was a veteran. Barnabas Steele was probably a veteran, to be honest.
Yeah, and also the elf.
Elizabeth Green.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think the Ghoulfather was as well, because he was a Dhampir before he became a vampire.
Yeah. So there is some connection maybe to the other thing that we were told, that this Dhampiric serum is somehow out of control. That is also related to the war. So I don't know. I can't tell anything further right now, but I think I would go. Basically, I think I have some kind of study where I could try to look up things about this ring, maybe, because I imagine that this will be something of importance.
Or to what do you call it? The College of Magic. The College of Magic. Or one of the colleges
that
of
would
magic.
be something we would do in the morning. But I guess I would just not go to bed anymore now.
Okay.
But try to find out. But somehow I felt the need to tell Sally right now, because I don't know what is going on here.
And what you can tell Sally, the ring that's been formed here is, it's extremely crude. It's the kind of thing that, a child might put together if they were given copper wire to play with. But it's also quite small. Like, it would fit Basil's little hand. You would struggle to fit it on your pinky.
And yeah. So that I could maybe look up and maybe get some idea of who her daughters are. I guess if there's some kind of witch coven or something like that, I would know of.
There is something that came up in a one previous case, but it's quite some time ago, where there was someone who seemed related to those descended from hags.
Really? There was the guy who we met at the party, but you don't mean that guy?
No. This was a specific case. It's actually going all the way back to the Harrow Haunts of Yule.
Oh. And there was someone who was somehow related to witchcraft. I just don't remember right now.
So you may remember one of the individuals who was involved in that was let's see here. Sorry, Elwood Eckhart is the one who has taken over now. It was Fred. Oh no, it was Elwood. Elwood T. Eckhart was the old man. And Frederick Eckhart. You may remember his chief clerk was a man named Dick Crockett. Dick Crockett's wife's name was Celine. And the investigation ended up resolving in a different manner, but the reason her name was on your mind is because the ritual that was involved to afflict Elwood Eckhart, that was a hag magic ritual.
Yeah. So, but do we know where his wife is, or
you guys never followed up on it?
Oh, okay.
It was something that was never followed up on, because I think largely because what you guys found yourself in a position where it seemed like people were perfectly satisfied with phasing Elwood out and Freddie Eckhart taking over Eckhart Industries.
Yeah. I just, so I don't know if you recall, but I wasn't there for that one. So you would not have you would not have known one way or the other for it. Yeah. So it's a minor character in a mystery from 3 years ago. So it is completely understandable if you guys would not recall that one specific mention of. No. That was when you once mentioned the left eye twitching all the time. No. I don't. I mean, we could.
Maybe
try.
it's case files that you're looking at then, Basil. You're looking through that stuff, and that's when you come across this information of that it was never followed up on because the case was resolved.
Yeah, maybe that's good. So maybe we should try to follow that. That could be good.
So Basil is going to be sitting up working all evening. Sally, what is your intent for the rest of the evening? Is going back to sleep?
I think I'll go back to this occult stuff is quite beyond me, as we saw a minute ago.
So really. One thing I will tell you is that you do have a planned meeting with an initial interview with a potential client tomorrow. That Golag has scheduled and then disappeared on, which means that you will be responsible for conducting the initial assessment and to determine whether this is. It seems that when there are people who are representatives from major insurance companies or from wealthy companies or whatnot, Golag is around, which may tell you what to expect from this particular individual.
What a complete con.
Dr. Ersprung, did you have anything planned for tomorrow, or can we expect that you will have this in your itinerary as well?
I think I did want to just quickly at some point speak to Rolly Goldberry, the professor, about the demon summoning, just to
you would like if you can't. Were you planning on just dropping by early in the morning then, or because this will be a morning appointment with this client?
Well, if I knew about the appointment, I'd come to the appointment, I think. Okay. And then just see if I could fit that in another time. Okay.
So you've been voluntold by Mr. Golag to attend this meeting as well. Then I will assume all of you, perhaps it's Basil early in the morning when Sovin disturbs you and says, "I'm sorry, sir. Have you been up long?"
I couldn't sleep and had to go through this old files. And basically, I mean, Basil is this height, and the stack of.
Perhaps some warm milk, sir.
Yeah, that would be excellent. Excellent. Yeah.
Okay. So then, over breakfast, Dr. Earthsprung, do you, let's get ready. Freaking Norton, constantly new ways of notifying me of like, you could do this, and it's like, don't fucking tell me again. Fuck off, Norton. And then finding new things to notify me, or just ignoring my "don't show me this again" thing. Dr. Earthsprung, would you be meeting everyone for breakfast then? Or would you be attending only when the meeting is occurring?
If you hadn't heard otherwise, I think he'd just arrived just before the meeting.
Okay, so then, yeah, that means you're doing, you're probably meeting with, like having a clinic meeting with Dr. Risewell and Dr. McKinnon before, getting on with the day.
Yeah, getting her settled in, yeah.
Okay. So then, unless there's anything else you guys wish to happen in the morning, we can have you guys meeting up in the studio, getting ready to meet with your client. Let's make sure I just had a second of doubt that I loaded the image I needed. But let me see here. No, I loaded it, hell. Look at that. Hey. So the appointment that you have is with a Mrs. Isabel Turner. And if you would like, you guys can give us a society roll. See if you are familiar with the Turners whatsoever. And Basil, if you feel there would be any, specific investigation you would do beforehand, you can feel free to apply your.
I think because she is a client, I would now have this as. I think I can now have 2 ongoing investigation at the same time.
Oh, nice. Okay.
She's definitely one of them, because I think we will have to deal with her a little bit more. Okay.
So add your modifier. Holy shit. So you have looked into this extensively. Dr. Turner Mrs. Turner is married to Dr. David Daniel Turner, also known as D.D. Turner. He is a
DDT, yes.
He is also a he is not a a noteworthy doctor in any specific way, apart from just being a wealthy and moneyed family. You know that Ms. Turner actually does not come from a particularly wealthy family. Her maiden name is Babwell. And the reason that's of interest to you, because you got your critical success on this, is because she is, in fact, the sister of Dr. Ransom Babwell, who is the principal of Babwell Logistics and Engineering. I'll put some of those names in chat for you.
Yeah, that would be nice.
So let's put her name down first. Mrs. Isabel Turner. Sister to Dr. Ransom Babwell, principal of Babwell Logistics and Engineering. And she is married to Dr. David Daniel Turner, aka D.D. Turner. And with a critical success, I will tell you that there's something interesting as well. It was not her, but you know that Dr. Babwell, or at least Babwell Logistics and Engineering, was in the news relatively recently because Babwell Logistics and Engineering has three principal interests involved. Dr. Ransom Babwell, who is apparently the genius behind their automation and calculation devices and services. A businessman named Carter Harrington, and another businessman named Zane Saxon. Saxon, Harrington, and Babwell were all apparently investors in this, but they were principals in the company. But what's of interest to you is it's rare that you see someone of Mr. Harrington's station bludgeoned to death brutally in an alleyway. Only, a few blocks away from Babwell Logistics and Engineering, where their, not warehouse, but their factory is located.
Mm-hmm. So I imagine he's dead now?
Carter Harrington died about a week ago.
Okay.
At least as far as you anytime there is a person of standing, who dies, then it's something that Mr. Golag asks you to keep an eye on, because if someone wealthy happens to come to you, you want to know their story before they have to tell it to you. You're also a bit of a conspiracy theorist, so I imagine this is one of many, clippings from the Paridar Times that references Mr. Harrington's, death. What's curious, too, is Harrington and Babwell are around the same age. They're relatively young. Dr. Babwell is a bit of a boy genius kind of situation, where he and Harrington, with the backing of an older man, Mr. Saxon, made the success that is Babwell Logistics and Engineering. If there was to be kind of a, tech industry, as it were, in Paridar, Babwell Logistics and Engineering would be one of the prominent companies to be on the tips of everyone's tongues. If you ask Dr. Ersprung about this, he could tell you there are some fascinating things that they are doing with automatons and with robots in general, or the what would you call them?
Yeah, okay.
Because the automatons are the actual sentient species. The Igor, the
construction type.
Yeah, exactly. The mechanical men or mechanical contraptions, mechanotons. That's sort of what you...
And just to make this clear, so he was murdered on the streets about a week ago. He was basically some thugs or whatever the newspaper would write, some ruffians or something like that.
It made, not only because of the station of being killed, also the manner in which, the Paridar Times less so, but the, is it the Globe? Is where the rag where that halfling writes for?
Yeah.
They would have gone into lurid detail about the bludgeoning. It's as if someone took a metal club and just beat him brutally to death with it.
Yeah, and having known and having had a similar experiences, it does not look like someone like Igor would have beaten him up. I mean, maybe I can't tell from the pictures. But...
Yeah, from the pictures, not necessarily, but I mean, the lurid detail they go into about his defensive wounds and stuff like that, it is definitely someone of extraordinary strength using something unforgiving like metal to beat him to death. This is not a matter of a knifing in an alleyway or having his throat slit or something like that. It was a very unpleasant and, uncomfortable passing.
It would have a strange irony if the creator of the Mechanical Man was killed by a mechanical man.
Definitely something you would be thinking of, They're going to cover up Igor's picture as Dr. Ersprung comes in.
But suspects already, Igor.
Yeah, exactly. We knew it's always the quiet ones that are behind it all. So, that is the person you were meeting with. Do you have any questions, or do you have any questions for? We can imagine you guys are having your like pre-meeting because Basil has prepared a brief on the client, and it seems quite extensive.
Yeah, I just.
I will tell you something else actually, because you rolled so well too. Harrington is, Harrington seems to be the money behind the Babel Logistics and Engineering. Saxon is the epitome, seemingly, of the very worst qualities of Eckhart. It's almost like Eckhart reincarnated, in the sense of he is a ruthless businessman. Deeply anti-union, very exploitative of workers, and merciless in his dealings with business rivals.
Okay. So, but the money was Saxon was not the money in the whole thing, but that was Harrington. So that is interesting.
It's curious. There's not a lot about Saxon actually that you can find that goes back all that much.
Because normally it is like you have, if you would spend the money and invest, then you could be the ruthless type. But if you, it's weird what he brings to the table. But maybe he's like the CEO behind all this stuff, and the other one was more like a shareholder. Who knows? Okay. I would tell anything that I have to the others, claiming that Golak has instructed me to dig deep to be prepared.
Dr. Erstrom, why don't you give us a crafting check, or your you got a lore engineering or something like that, right? Or what is your lore?
No, I've got an underworld lore.
Give us a crafting check then, please.
Yeah, crafting. Oh, that's not good enough. Nowhere near. A bit better.
So you're familiar in broad strokes of what Babel Logistics and Engineering, they're making use of, is a very different kind of engineering that they are undertaking. Much more small scale, much more... It's kind of like advanced clockwork calculations is what they are seemingly involved in.
Is there any bad blood between them and any other companies or anything currently, or any sort of things that Basil's found? Conspiracies?
I think there is definitely... Saxon does not leave a lot of friends as far as his business dealings, if you're asking Basil about that. I don't think you would necessarily have insight into that because you're not really, I think...
from what Basil's learned.
Yeah, from what Basil's learned. Definitely. They are definitely, it is a company on the ascent. It's part of the tragedy of Harrington's death is that this is a company that seems on... It is something that was only founded after the war, so it is not something that contributed to this. It is new, kind of cutting-edge science.
And what, with regards to what Basil's found from the newspapers and that, are they just saying it's a sort of mugging, sort of bug type murder? Is that their sort of general consensus?
Neither paper will speculate on...
I haven't got an opinion.
Well, that's not true. The Times would say that it isn't clear. There was money taken and whatnot from it, but it seems an astoundingly violent crime to occur in such a... Paridar is an unfortunate place. You can go down the wrong alley at the wrong point. What the Globe says is it is much more... it is much more conspiratorial, because they say, why would he be traveling alone? Why would he have traveled into that alleyway? There's much more of a, he was murdered approach to this. I imagine there's that's circled in red on Basil's conspiracy board. Any other questions before Mrs. Turner arrives?
well, maybe. So normally when something like this happens, then the company releases a statement like they are so sad that this happened, whatever. Did they mention in any way who is taking over? So like if they found a new investor, or they're looking for a new investor, or they're just continuing with the two guys now?
Carrying on with the only comment it makes this the usual kind of like we regret one of our three founders passing in such an unfortunate way, but they seem confident that Saxon will continue seeing things on into the further successes in the future and to fulfill Harrington's dream. So Saxon, whatever role Harrington had in the company, Saxon will be assuming those parts of it. Babwell, from what you can tell, Dr. Babwell is the brains behind Babwell Logistics and Engineering.
Yeah. Okay, so then let's go.
Okay, then first off, everyone gets a hero point, and then let's take our mid-session break, and we'll come back and have your meeting with Mrs. Turner. So, for those listening at home, we'll be back momentarily. All right. So was there anything else of interest that was announced during the PaizoCon thing, Ingolf?
I have not watched everything right now.
Oh,
so
okay.
They talked mostly about Pathfinder, naturally. And then with Starfinder, I just found it a little bit sad that they didn't follow through with the original plan to release those books. As far as I understood, they just had accelerated their path to Starfinder second edition then as well. So they did not have the resources to bring those books out. And part of the faction book is somehow saved for the game and still in there, and another part is so the planar section seems to be gone for now, because there are two things. I don't know if it is spoilers, because the adventures will say so on the cover. The first one is that Acturn is a planet which is actually some kind of hatching of something within it. It's like it says so in the Pact Worlds book already.
Yeah.
And it seems like now whatever is in there has hatched. So that will change the landscape. And the other one is there's a war between the Aslanti Empire and the Vescarium.
Oh.
So this will change the setting quite a bit. Like,
yeah, no kidding. Well, that's cool to have them. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, the Aslanti Empire, I think, are great fucking villains, as are, to be honest, the Vescarium. So that's really interesting. Definitely setting up a dynamic setting for the second. That's the only difficulty with the setting as written, is just picturing what was. It was great of them having so much to do in the Pact Worlds, and then in the Vescarium when they fleshed that out a little bit. And I mean, they did to a degree with the Aslanti Star Empire as well. But the fact that like there's supposed to be this like countless other worlds out there, but we never really saw them dealt with or whatnot. It felt kind of like empty in that way. I mean, it's the curse of a setting like that, where you've got, if there are limitless possibilities, it's gonna feel fucking empty because you can't have, every bit of information. I really did love the deck of worlds, though. Using the deck of worlds and the deck of NPCs together. Yeah. My God, because you have a lot of fun with that.
I'm just a little bit. I don't know how to say that. Sometimes I feel they care a little bit too much about this rules aspects of the game, and then they forgot that there should be interesting stories to tell. So right now, they mentioned that they wanted to go a little bit for this Tianxi thing, which is because it is basically almost like unexplored country. There's little things about it, and even the book now, this is a whole continent. So this is not as big, but almost as big as the rest of the world. And there's only 2 books now. So, I mean, you could imagine that you could describe these regions more and more explicit and find other things. I don't know where they're
I'd
going
even be
with
fine
this.
with if they, because the way they did the sort of the like half-page summaries for the different planets in the other in some of the source books, where they had like Daimalka, I think is the name of the one with the mecha and the kaiju, and like Daimalka always sounded really fucking cool, and there was enough there to make your own campaign. And Mechageddon definitely does more with that than what was there, but like that kind of like interstellar version of the old, or an interstellar equivalent of the old Greyhawk Gazetteer, would just give you a little blurbs about that. I would have been absolutely satisfied with just that. Even 200-page book of just a bunch of little tidbits and story seeds about different places out in the vast and other commonalities that might be out there. That would be super cool. I guess you could do it yourself, right? With the things. But I don't know. We've spent coming up 3 years now in one city, so maybe I'm not the best at fleshing out an expansive setting. So
yeah, but I mean, it doesn't matter as long as people have something to do. So I mean,
yeah.
Just traveling around in the vast would also not be so much fun if it's just like you have then, instead of Monster of the Week, you have Planet of the Week.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is,
yeah. So maybe the war thing will give more context to, because there's going to be, proxy fights and shit like that on neutral planets, I imagine, and that kind of stuff, right? So.
Yeah, and I mean, the pact worlds, they have a pact with each other, but also with Vescarium.
Yep.
Against their common enemies. And somehow one could imagine that the Aslanti Empire is such a common enemy.
Unless the Vescarium was the aggressor.
Yeah, and I think that is what they're doing.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, love it. So then there is some tension of look, we're not getting dragged into fights that they're picking. So, yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was thinking about it today when you had posted about that, about the. I've had a lot of fun, in spite of some hiccups with the mechanics in the game. I've had so much fucking fun with Starfinder over the years with it. However much I was kind of lukewarm about the idea of Starfinder 2, I'm going to love it as soon as it comes out, I'm sure. So, yeah. We can celebrate with another war story. It will be a little closer cognate, I think, next time. But anyway, you guys are meeting with Mrs. Isabel Turner. So, is there anything else, having considered your pre-interview meeting beforehand, anything else you wish to ask one another or discuss before you meet with Mrs. Turner?
I think I haven't told Adam yet about my strange meeting in the dream.
So maybe why don't we do that? So you guys have finished doing the prep for it, and now refreshing a beverage or something like that, you have a chance to fill in Dr. Earthsprung. So go ahead.
Yeah. So Adam, I had this very, very strange. It is not really a dream. Someone came to me in my sleep, and it is one of the enemies we fought in the war, and she offered me a deal. I could get information about the things that we are facing, especially what the 7 Sages of Sorrow. But I would have to put this on for it, and I would give Adam this ring. Could you tell me something about it? It seems my knowledge of the occult does not work here.
Why don't you give us an occultism roll, Doctor? Please.
Yeah, certainly have a look at it.
It's a very tough one, that.
I'm tempted to go again. No, I'll go with that.
Okay.
See if that gives me
It definitely, the way that the light catches it, it seems as if it is metal of some kind, and if you touch it, it's very cold. But it's not, there's something unusual about it. You can't, unfortunately, put your hand on, or put your finger on what it is that, is unusual about this. It's much too small to ever fit on your fingers, of course, but yeah, it's strange. It holds its shape and has the kind of just slightly, slight pliability to almost be like a coiled spring, but it wouldn't be, it isn't designed that way. It has fallen together the way that a loose cord of hair or a loose curled bit of fur or something, might fall.
Would I say it was magical?
You don't have the ability to tell one way or the other. What you can draw, you don't have any ability to view magic, but what you can tell is that this is a unnatural. It's not a metal that you can point to identify, and there's plenty of magical metals.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say it'd been crafted in a normal sort of engineering crafting sort of manner.
It could have been, because it's difficult when there is art. For one, when there's artistry involved, because you could conceive how someone might want to use metal to give the appearance of, you know, something. This is far too clumsy and, to be frank, ugly to be a piece of art, except for perhaps the most, like, you know, challenging form of, you know, transgressive art, where, you know, enormous amount of efforts has gone to make this thing look like a patch of hair that's been wound around a finger. So it could very well be, you know, fabricated this way, but it seems unlikely for those reasons. And especially when there's a readily apparent explanation that Basil suggests. This thing, if nothing else, this thing seems to have come from his dream. That in and of itself speaks to the magical origin of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I could tell you it is magic. I can't tell anything about it, but it is definitely magic.
Yeah, I'm afraid it's not something I've come across or can give you much else either.
Yeah, I will try to check at the university. I just wanted to mention that, and I will lower my voice a little bit. So this creature told me that the master of the white blossoms is also following our steps.
If your eyes go to the side, you can see once again the white blossoms of Paridar.
Yeah. So maybe we are not only listened to, but we are closely watched. By the way, do we see any of the birds outside? The suspicious birds?
None of the suspicious birds.
Yeah.
Well, depends. I mean, all birds are suspicious, I imagine.
Yeah, but the very suspicious birds.
But like the ones that you had seen before, I think it was a swallow and a barn owl. No. At least not from here.
Yeah, interesting.
So, then, anything else? Go ahead.
I was going to say, we don't actually know who the master of the White Blossoms is. We've never found out who is in control of them. We've deducted that they're listening in, but you're saying they could be watching as well.
Yeah, for all we know, it could even be Golak and he can't remember.
Basil, don't joke about such things. We already worry about him too much.
I mean, that would be kind of a plot twist, wouldn't it? It has been Golak all along, yeah.
Well, he should be able to give us some better intelligence if that was the case.
I am getting a raise also. Anything else you wish to discuss before letting Mrs. Turner in?
No, so I assume you haven't tried this ring on. You haven't put it on, have you?
I think it's once and done. If I accept
suggest
it,
you don't do that without any further.
Yeah. If I accept that offer, then basically I think I accept her as my patron. That is from what I understood. But maybe that is a little bit too much. But I think she will get her pound of flesh from me, whatever that means.
Well, I'm thinking of seeing the professor at the university.
Yes.
If you was thinking of speaking to someone there about it.
Yeah, but I think, for instance, Sally, I think maybe your special skills with ladies of the upper class could be really helpful here. Maybe you should conduct the interview.
If you wish, but I'm more the... It has to be admitted I'm more the direct action lady, but I can certainly make some introductions, yes.
Yeah, that would be very much appreciated, because I think neither Adam nor I fall into the, let me say, high society.
I do suspect she is coming here for your professional services rather than your social graces and ability for a tea party.
Yeah, but she expects Golak, and and I guess
it can only be an improvement on Golak.
Well, that is very kind of you to say, but
He does have his admirers, Sally.
Yes, but most of them are in the mirror.
Some of Sean's ears are burning. Like, what? What is going on? Playing whatever pickup he's playing at the con. Anything else you guys wish to do or discuss before you meet with Mrs. Turner?
No. I think we should just, we should just let her in, hope
so the
for
door
best.
opens, it kind of rolls open, and Sovin provides the introduction. Mrs. Isabel Turner, sir. And this is who walks in. You can see she is dressed very much like you see in the illustration, only she has her handbag with her. She has a stylish hat on, not garish by any means, but like tasteful. And she has under her arm, she has looks like a small valise of some kind and a copy of the looks like a newspaper of some kind. And Basil, you would know just from color, because you've got an eye for these things, it looks slightly yellowed. Not like this is a very old newspaper, but it's not something that was, she's not bringing a new copy for reading. So she comes in, she says, good afternoon, or good morning, gentlemen, and ma'am. Thank you very much for agreeing to see me. And I imagine you guys have kind of like an obvious seat where patrons are to sit. So she sits down and places the newspaper and the valise in front of her. And she says, you will have to forgive me, and I will happily take direction from you. This is the first time I have had occasion to engage the services of ones such as yourself. And Basil, I think you can't help but your eyes are going down to see whatever you can about that newspaper, because it's curious to bring an old newspaper.
Obviously, yeah.
And what you can spy along the heading of it too, the date for it. The date is like a week after the resolution of the Endless Odyssey mystery.
Oh, interesting.
And she says, so forgive me.
So maybe I guess Sally would introduce us.
Yes, please put yourself at ease, Mrs. Turner. Please come in. Make yourself comfortable here. Yeah.
Thank you.
We have some tea ready already.
She looks up and Sylvan nods and she says, yes, please, thank you. And he leaves off to go and do that.
May I introduce my esteemed colleagues, Mr. Basil Rathbone and Dr. Adam Ersprung.
Very pleased to meet you both. And
I apologize. Mr. Golag is away at, I believe he referred to it as a con. But I don't think it's the common understanding of that term.
Important work, indeed.
Indeed. So, but he has delegated to us to give us our best support to yourself in these troublesome times.
Well,
so
I very much appreciate that. I must say, if you had asked me a week ago, I would not have thought myself. I trust that it will be of most benefit for your services for me to be as frank as I can. So please excuse any rudeness that might come from my frankness. But to be honest, in part, I am hoping that you can help reassure me that I am not losing my mind. Now,
yes.
I have not done such things before, but, and I hope you not think me a trivial person, but I am familiar with your exploits in the paper, and in particular, and she puts them down, I find the investigations which you have been involved in of late to be remarkable and of particular interest. This, and she holds out kind of the paper, and there's a story, you can see the byline of Annabelle Carrington And you can see it's the story that was written after your investigation and resolution of the Endless Odyssey case. And she says, I have kept copies of the stories that you have because I find them quite fascinating. They are the closest to the detective stories of fiction that I can find, and that don't simply, well, to be frank, you seem to be involved in most curious circumstances. And that is why I think that, or I am hopeful that you might be able to assist me. I take it that you are familiar with my husband, D.D. Turner, Dr. D.D. Turner?
Yes, and his company, and also the untimely death of his colleague.
That was actually not my husband's colleague. My husband is a physician.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, your brother's colleague. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm
that is quite... my brother, you are correct, though, Mr. Rathbone. My brother is Ransom Babwell. I'm not certain if you are familiar with Babwell Logistics and Engineering, but he is the mind behind it.
Yes.
A week ago, his and my long-term friend, Carter Harrington, we both come from... I think it would be quite wrong to say that we come from modest upbringings in light of and she gestures to you, Dr. Ersprung, the souls who see you for their medical needs, Doctor. I don't wish to seem like a foolish rich person claiming to have poverty, but among the names, the Babwell and Harrington names were not prominent in Paridar. But Harrington, Carter, and Ransom, they were always two peas in a pod and had been friends since childhood. Our families were very close, and while Babwell certainly had a gift for mathematics and later for engineering, Carter had his own way. He was quite a remarkable man. And as you can imagine, hearing of his death is quite... And I wish you to not think me... Knowing what you investigate and knowing what you have seen or what has been written about you, I'm hopeful that you will take this sincerely when I say Zane Saxon, he is a man who did not exist 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I have since spoken to Babwell, to Ransom. I have spoken to Carter. I have read in newspapers. I have seen in minutes of the corporation that this man has been involved with the company, or so everything says. But I can tell you, he did not.
But what was his role? I mean, he was, at least as far as I read on the newspapers, he was involved from the company from the beginning on.
I agree. And you can tell that this is something that is weighing on her. Like, there's a tension in her voice where she seems as if, like, everything is telling her something is something and this is not. I agree. Everyone, including my dear husband, insists that Saxon has been involved since the beginning. And there are photos of he and Carter and Ransom involved with the company from the beginning.
Oh, I understand now. And you have no recollection of that at all.
I wish to be clear, Mr. Rathbone. It is not that I have no recollection of it. It is that he did not exist 2 weeks ago. And suddenly, he was there, and everyone said that he had always been there. And then a week afterwards, Carter, who disagreed with Mr. Saxon, a brute of a man, is bludgeoned to death.
Mm-hmm.
What was not mentioned in any of the... Since his sudden appearance, both in the present and in seeming the recollection of everyone I know, he has always affected a heavy, iron-shod cane. And yet, no one mentions this in the reporting, and no one acts as if this is anything to investigate. I don't know where Saxon came from. I don't know how he came to be of such value to my brother and to his company, but I know that he killed Carter Harrington. I know that Ransom would never have permitted such a thing. And I know that he did not exist 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
The reason,
Yes.
and you can see there's actually one other thing poking out there, the valise. She opens this up. You may question why I have come to you for this. And the reason is, once I convinced my dear husband thought that I had a malady of the mind and had considered medication when I insisted that Mr. Saxon was not here before. So I have not spoken to him or anyone else since then, but when I had the opportunity, when Ransom and his wife, my sister-in-law, Lily Babwell, when they were out with their children, I made an unscheduled appointment and I searched my brother's office. I could not find much, but I did find this one piece of correspondence. And she opens up a note. It brings out a letter that is open clearly. There is no address or return address on the outside, simply a name. She pulls it out, she places it down, and faces it towards you. From what is written in the newspaper, I understand that you have had dealings with the woman who wrote this note. And she seems almost trembling, like she really wants you guys to be able to give her something to say that it is not, that she's not mad.
Yes, I understand, yeah.
She pushes it forward, you pick it up, and while you don't recognize the content, there is a name signed on the bottom that may ring a bell. The name is Gwendolyn Fallow.
Okay.
Fella. Oh.
Yeah, she was this kind of fallen conjurer or whatever.
That lady.
Yeah.
So you all look at this, and I, unless you are trying to conceal it, can I assume that you guys exchange kind of a looking or a knowing look between the lot of you?
Mm-hmm.
And so she sort of seizes on that, and it's like, you recognize the name.
Yes.
The fugitive from your previous case.
Yes.
Could she be behind this? They speak of a ritual of some kind. And you can see that it's addressed to Ransom. It speaks in generality, so unfortunately there's not a lot that to go on there. There's a lot more of like, the ritual will go forward on this date. We trust we have supplied everything you require kind of stuff. And
so this letter, from the first impression, she is like a business letter to him as the I don't know, inventor behind the company.
It seems as if it is a personal. The way it is, it isn't. There isn't an address on the outside of the envelope, which suggests that this is something that wouldn't have gone through the post, something that would have been delivered.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think here. There is no date on it, but it's almost like it's a handwritten friendly note from one to another.
Yeah, okay. So I don't know what exactly was in the newspapers, but she basically managed to have some kind of cult, some kind of seances with her partner, where they try to get some demon into the world, so that.
Is that what this Saxon could be? Some sort of demon?
We don't know. We don't know. What you're describing is not impossible. Let me put it this way.
She leans back in her chair. And she begins, like, her eyes are welling up with tears, and she's almost, when someone brings the tea over, he kind of clears this, "Madam." And she puts her hand up and she says, "I am fine." Doctor, you can tell, like, this is someone who is, like, this would have been, if you guys had said, "I don't know what you're talking about, this is nonsense," this would have been the final straw. This is someone under an extraordinary amount of mental duress.
We have seen very, very strange things, and for someone to appear out of nothing and just everyone remembering him to always have been there, it would not be impossible, but it would require enormous effort.
She begins crying a bit, and it's sort of like, but it's clearly like tears of relief. Like there's a wall she's broken up, and it's beginning to go down. She says, "Just forgive me." It is so. Everyone seems to recall this man. Everyone is adamant. And I thought, if it had not been Carter, if it had not been he, I don't think I would have. But if this thing posing as Saxon is responsible for his death, he must be brought to account. And I do not know what he plans for my brother.
My question would be, just assuming, and we don't know anything about that yet, assuming that this is kind of some kind of evil scheme or evil magic or whatever, some kind of trick played on you, then that trick is played on all of us. And you are somehow the person that is immune to all of that.
She tries, why would that be?
That is exactly the question that puzzles me. It puzzles me even more than what you're describing.
Why don't you each give us an occultism roll? See if there's anything that just obviously stands out.
I was going to ask her, is anyone, have you told anyone else how you feel about this Zane?
She shakes her head. Nat 1. Oof.
Oh, I'm not having that.
Dr. Earthsprung is like, "Mr. Saxon is my best friend," and leaps across the table. Would anyone care to... I don't think I gave you your hero point at 130. So
yeah, I think I would just use him directly to reroll.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll use mine.
It's just
get much
weird.
better.
Yeah, so 23. It's just not our day for good rolls.
So what you know is you're not wrong, I think, to suspect a connection between the two. That's like this kind of maybe it probably means something. If there is, whether that's a connection with Saxon, with her brother, with Carter, but it's something to do with her.
But as she told anyone else, this Saxon guy is, he's only just arrived. Has she said that to anyone else?
2 days I protested this. And then once, you must understand, my dear husband is a physician and a man of great importance. And if his wife were to seem... I feared what might come of me by treatment if I continued to protest in a way that everyone else insisted I was mad.
I was going to say, has anyone challenged your sanity?
It was only with great insistence that I was able to convince my husband I did not need a stay in a sanatorium.
And do you think this is the motive of this Zane Saxon to turn them against you in some way and drive you into one of these hospitals?
I had not considered that. If it was, he was unsuccessful in that effort, and I began to play along.
Okay.
Hence my subterfuge and skullduggery in my brother's residence.
I have another question that may or may not be of help here.
Anything I can do to assist with your investigation.
Do you remember that someone did some kind of spell on you, or some ritual, some magic, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago maybe?
No, I am unschooled in such things myself, but as I said, I find the esoteric of particular interest. I cannot recall anything that has occurred to me specifically. Okay. And the fact that it seems that everyone, yourselves included, seem caught in this delusion. Truly, it felt like...
Yeah. I totally understand. So, is there any way we can contact you? Because I think that you will employ us to look at this situation in a rather discreet manner.
She actually laughs. She's like, "You'll take the case."
I think we have to take the case.
Yes, we do have to take the case.
Now, to Dr. Ersprung's question, what motive might someone have to try and have you put in a home?
Again, if that was the motive, this seems elaborate. Why?
I feel that
unsuccessful.
That's not the motive. It may have been a suggestion, but it obviously wasn't the driving factor.
Maybe husband,
they just want the business. Maybe.
As I said, my family, in comparison to my husband's, the Turners are of significantly greater means than ours, so there would be no fortune to be gained from that. And I would not be the inheritor of Ransom's newfound fortune. Those would go to Verney and Rebecca, his children.
But if something happened to Ransom, would the business be taken over by Zane solely?
The business would be likely assumed by Zane, but without Ransom's genius, it would be of... It is his intrepid designs that have built the fortune that he and Carter earned. They had an exceptionally bright future.
I'm also intrigued how deep this deception goes. I mean, is there any documents from within the company or any newspapers that mention Zane before these 2 weeks?
I do not know how he
articles.
Ingle Basil.
I can confirm that his name is in the newspapers weeks ago, because I looked up in preparation for our meeting.
Old newspapers from many months back.
Well, even the founding documents, like the Basil, what I imagine would have gone even as far as the founding documents were, because it's not that far back. You know, it was after the war this was established. Zane Saxon is shown as one of the 3 founders of this.
Yeah, and so may I remember? I might recall that normally in this thing, when you do this building contract, it says that he invests something, or he is doing something, he's responsible for something. What was his role in the company?
Not necessarily. There may be governing documents that will assign specific roles, but there's not
it wasn't in there.
No, it all depends. What it is like the corporate charter that would have established the company. That stuff has all 3 names on it, and it's not like the name has been slipped in elsewhere. It has actually, Ransom Badwell, Zane Saxon, and then Carter Harrington.
Yeah, and they agreed like we have 3 votes, and if 2 of us agree, then that is what we're doing, or something like that.
Well, that you wouldn't have had access to, because that would have been within the company itself. You don't have to publicly file that stuff, but that would be within, Yeah,
okay, yeah. But I guess we will. I mean, I can assure you that we will take the case and we will look into it. But how can we talk to you? Because I guess you wouldn't want us to show up at your residence.
You are correct. I am financing your investigation through the allowance my husband permits.
Oh, yeah.
But I have given, there's a little twinkle in her eye. She's still they're all bloodshot right now from crying, but she says, I understand that you at times make use of, I think the vernacular is dead drops?
Yeah, we can do that. But also, if Sally wouldn't mind, we could just, wouldn't it be, or would it be unthinkable that you and Sally just met or something? Wouldn't she like something she could?
She looks. She says, I have not had
one of the coffee houses.
Because I would say that we need to investigate maybe your rooms or something like that, and if you could invite Sally over for tea, something like that, then she could have a look.
Oh. One thing that dawns on you, Sally, is that, you obviously are, setting aside the unique nature of your ancestry, you're also a little bit of a minor celebrity in town. Mm-hmm. But I think you know someone who is a unrelenting social butterfly who could be a really good cover for you attending a luncheon or a coffee date or something like that.
Indeed.
Yeah. So
let me remind myself.
Dear Daphne,
yeah. So, Letter Daphne Lagrange, indeed. So we could arrange a little, I'd say a soiree would be too much. We want something lower key. So, indeed. High tea?
That would be, if you need to speak to me, no one would think twice of me attending a meeting with Ms. Lagrange.
And let us do that.
Wonderful. Then there is a park near our residence. I often take my son to play in the park. And in that park, there is a birdhouse that has been constructed. The birdhouse can be moved, and behind, you could place any messages that need to be delivered on a non-urgent basis.
Mm-hmm. I see you read your detective stories very, very well. Yeah.
Her cheeks flush a little bit. She says, I do have a fondness for the esoteric.
Yes.
Then, and she sighs, it's the sigh of someone who like has finally had a weight removed from them. And she says, is there anything else that I can assist with at this juncture?
No, I at least I don't know. Maybe Adam or Sally.
Nope. I can't think of anything else at this time.
Then I will thank you both. I will leave the letter in your charge.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And she takes the newspaper back. Then, thank you. I will make arrangements for the retainer to be delivered. Thank you. And she makes a point of coming and kind of holding each of your hands and thanking you each individually. And then she turns and leaves. So, you all turn to one another.
So you think some sort of witchcraft that has power over the whole city?
No, I think the complete opposite. Someone has bewitched her to forget about him and to think that he didn't exist.
So the purpose?
That is exactly the question. What is the purpose of this?
Because she hasn't forgotten about him carrying this heavy cane that she believes could be the murder weapon. If you were going to make someone forget about someone, surely you would.
Well, that was the thing,
completely.
And why I was asking about what would the motive would be to have her taken out of the thing. So as you say, it's the other way round. But if they're willing to commit murder, why do they not murder her?
I mean, maybe it's for a longer con, something like that. So in order to
But you're convinced it's definitely that way round, that she's been. It seems more likely, I guess.
Yeah. Adam, could you just tell me how the war ended?
How the war ended?
Yeah, you don't know because no one of us exactly knows.
Well,
you know that in this city sometimes we don't know the details to stuff.
Yeah, and it's something now that you've turned your mind to it, you're like, oh yeah, I can't think of the particulars right now, but I'm sure I can look it up, and then surely you'll forget to look it up. That's just the way things work in Paridar.
I was going to say I wasn't around during the war.
Yes, fair dues.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
And who's this Daphne woman?
Why would you bring it up again?
No, I think that sometimes things like these happen. I would not, but this is magic on a level. This is this scale to just, for instance, to forge the old documents or to get them to adjust, and this is almost impossible. So.
It's not wrong to use the phrase godlike. for it, because it would be an unthinkable level of, if it's a magical act. There are phenomenally powerful spells that can affect this kind of thing, but these are like, you know, spells of legend, nothing that anyone, even the most skilled sorcerers or practitioners at the College of Magic, they would not be able to accomplish an act like this.
No, I think she has forgotten about it. And so the idea could be that she maybe actually saw the murder or something like that. She was somehow involved,
ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, and so they made her forget this thing.
But she's only lost her memory of him from 2 weeks ago. Is that right?
Yeah. She thinks like that. She has completely forgotten about him.
So selective memory loss.
Yeah, maybe it has gone wrong. I mean, I've heard stories like that. And the other thing is, you know that when we were dealing with this cult, that she made a backstory for her, for the guy whose name I forgot, who was supposed to be this
Augustus
medium.
Thorn?
Augustus Thorn, that may be his name. Yeah, Thorngrove. Augustus Thorngrove.
Head of the sort of seances and things, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he wasn't.
No, I mean,
She was. He was. He was
she
like.
controlled it all.
Yeah, he was like an actor or like
No.
puppet.
You're misremembering. He was a sorcerer.
Oh, he was as well.
Yeah, he used magic directly against you guys.
I think that was the demon that was possessing him. But,
Nope, because when you spoke to your current landlady, she remembered Augie Thatch, and Augie Thatch could work. He could work minor magic.
Oh, Augie, yeah. So Augie, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remembered that he was called Augie. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't.
Augie Thatch was able to work magic, but nothing along the scale of what you saw Augustus Thorngrove work. And just as a reminder too, Gwendolyn Fallow was expelled from the College of Conjuration due to her extraordinarily unorthodox theories.
But she was powerful, though, wasn't she? She was an up-and-coming.
She was powerful enough not to get caught, and she had this kind of invisibility spell like around, so we could always just spot her at the corner of the eye or something.
But the letter doesn't mention any specifics, does it? It doesn't mention, what they were doing. It was just some sort of ritual.
Her speciality, you may recall, was conjuration and summoning as well, so it would be entreating with other entities. That's what the whole plot behind the Elder Order of the Endless Odyssey seemed to be.
Yeah. I guess what we can do is we could just go to the university and have Professor Watson Fowle or someone like that just check this description and maybe guess what this ritual is about.
Yeah. Did it have some ingredients or something on it?
It just seemed to be a casual note that is commenting that the ritual was the preparations for the ritual were in order.
Okay, so it doesn't say anything about more.
No, unfortunately, it's sort of it seems to be one of those casual notes that like confirms stuff that the recipient would already understand the context of it.
They've already discussed it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but anyhow, so we have to talk to the guys at the university, I suppose.
Was there a date on the letter though?
No,
it's not.
Not at all.
So it's probably more of a note passed from one to another than it was a letter.
Yeah, so we can't even date when this ritual or whatever took place.
And we don't know how she got this condition. So maybe she wasn't supposed to be the target of whatever happened to her. So imagine if they wanted to have, for instance, her brother out of the company. Then.
But the recipient of the letter was Ransom.
Yeah.
Why would Ransom want himself out of the company if there was a ritual involving Gwendolyn Fallon?
No. I was not thinking that he himself would be conscious of what's going on, but maybe he is. So I mean, so I was thinking more that like she double-crossed him or something. But yeah. Well, let's see. I think we need to. We could talk to the guys at the university. Galberry and Watson Fall were the two names coming to mind, I suppose.
Galberry would be for conjuration or summoning, and Watson Fall for divination.
Yeah, divination is maybe not the worst thing to have here.
Do I think I'd be able to talk to any of my contacts at the morgue? Do you think the body would still be available?
A week ago, he's probably been either buried or cremated.
Okay.
Most likely, well, closed casket certainly if it was there. From that announcement, he would have been interred since his murder.
I mean, but we could visit the police and just could hope that we could get a look at the file, maybe.
I just wanted to see if there's any truth to saying that cane could have been used.
What you would notice from the lurid, if Basil shares the news articles with it, it absolutely could have been that was used to bludgeon him to death, certainly.
But was there a photo, did it say?
If you look through the materials, she's not wrong. The guy's always affecting the photos or affecting the cane in the photos, and I do have a captured image of him as well.
And would they take photos at the morgue of the body? To see if...
Probably not as a rule.
No.
It's too new of a technology at this point.
Yeah.
So first, allow me to introduce you to Dr. Ransom Babwell. So there is Isabel's brother.
Oh gosh.
Way too much Nivea cream.
I mean, you couldn't have found someone with a more villainous look.
This is the deceased, Mr. Carter Harrington.
Oh, he had a bit of a rat type look to him, to be honest.
By which Basil assumes you mean handsome and distinguished. There's Carter. And then finally...
Is that post or pre-beating?
That is pre.
Gosh.
And Mr. Zane Saxon.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean,
He looks
I
nice.
think all three of them are guilty. I just...
Hang them all and let God sort it out.
I was going to say, it was
Yeah.
money.
And in comparison to Carter and Ransom are both quite slender, younger, either business or, scientific, scholarly types. Saxon is a great big fucking slab of a man. He is, Paridar capitalism personified almost. And from the stories you've heard about the type of businessman he is, Basil, seeing his photo, you can picture what an absolute tyrant he would be in negotiations or in a boardroom.
Yeah. Could you, Adam? I have a very, very strange idea. Have you ever thought of doing this kind of undercover work, where you pretend to be like someone who wants to buy some of his machine man for your clinic?
So they don't make machine men; they make calculation engines.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I thought they were doing this. Ooh.
It's the kind of stuff that would go into the advanced. It's not a mind, but it would be the mind in some of these mechanical men like Igor.
Yeah.
I think while you weren't familiar with them before from that crafting role, once you start reading through some stuff, Dr. Erskine, like you're an absolute and utter genius in more than one area right now. This is an area where you would be humbled in that specific areas. Not because you wouldn't be capable of such things. It's just an area you're not an expert in, but they seem almost trying to have to recreate, or not to recreate, but like to duplicate the kind of problem solving and logic that sentient creatures do, only in an independent and non-sentient format.
I hear these difference engines are rather the cutting edge.
This is the reason they refer to it as logistics is because of the large-scale manufacturing, shipping, and whatnot, too. There are very advantageous means to which to put this kind of information or technology.
Yeah. I would think that someone who is in the business of information management would be interested in these
Most definitely.
kind of things. Yeah, it's like a science about data, but I don't know about anything. So there is. We have our contacts with the police. We could try to find something out about the corpse. We could actually talk to Annabelle, who seems to be more and more acquainted with Sally, I suppose.
I could go and see her and ask.
Yeah.
Sorry, going to ask who?
Annabelle Carrington.
Oh, Annabelle. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, imagine this story is true.
The story from Annabelle. What more? Whatever's in the story is what you guys shared with her.
No, not the story, not our story. I'm sorry. No.
Oh, in the death.
Yeah. So if like there is other things that came up, or she might have noticed some gossip that was going on or something like that. I mean, we have that happened before. So something like that.
Okay.
And other than that, I'm just now out of.
Okay. Sounds like Dr. Earthsprung is going to the morgue. Basil, you're going to the constabulary, and Ms. Dumare, you want to meet with Annabelle Carrington?
Yep.
Okay. Who would like to go first?
I think mine's probably going to be quite short and sweet, I would imagine, if the body's already gone.
Okay. You do have the contact. I don't think I've given her a name yet. You have a lot of physicians in the handouts, but I don't have
too many people.
No such thing. Her. Where is it here? I believe it was. That's not it. I know I've given a name to the physician who is the mortician, but I do not remember which. I think it was at the start of your investigation into the Black Wall, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to find it.
Let's talk green. Dr. Leslie Reed is the city coroner. I don't think I have a... Let's see here. Dr. Leslie Reed. I remember because she smokes while doing autopsies.
Yeah.
So...
I think, I just think, because I just went through my notes, there's also Captain Solaxo with the underwater craft. we never followed up.
Mrs. Hunter has been trying to set up a dinner date with Ms. Dumer and Captain Zalazo for quite some time, but always been too busy. So, you arrive down at the city morgue, Dr. Earthsprung, and I think we've got something has been standing in for that. Let's see. Not for the morgue itself, but for the neighborhood and building. I think it's the stockyard, freight yard. It's not there. Let's use this here. And let me move that down just a scooch. So you make your way down, Dr. Earthsprung, and when you make your way, you can picture you pass through this very drab-looking building. You're passing, orderlies who are wheeling along corpses that are covered by tarps or by blankets. You can see there are other physicians who are conducting their autopsies, and I think when you finally reach Dr. Reed, she is, has finished throwing a tarp over, and she says to a junior physician to close that up, will you? And finishes up her cigarette. Her gloves covered in, or not cigarette, but like a cigarillo. Her gloves covered in the evidence of her work that is being done, and she puffs on the end. I believe we cast her as kind of an aged, what's her name? The one who, what's her name? The actress, Kate Mulgrew. So this is an aged kind of, gravelly voiced woman in her 50s. And she looks over, Dr. Earthsprung. And she says, see to that. Takes her gloves off, puts the cigarillo in her teeth. What brings you down to my parlor?
I was hoping you might be able to help me with something.
Why else do you come down? You never come down to say hi. I jest. I presume you are on... This is not related to your work at the Barrowhead mission?
Not this time. This is an investigation.
I truly hope for the benefit of your patients, you're not coming down here for my assistance in relation to their care.
No. But I'm sure you are a fine physician as well.
As long as you don't have a pulse, I won't do anything wrong to you. I hear you've added to your number as well.
A new doctor, yes.
Sorry, the doorbell just rang. The heck is at my door? Give me 2 seconds, guys. Sorry.
Wait, now she'll ask you why you didn't hire her. And make her an offer. And then...
I hope not to have that many bodies coming through the clinic. What is the motive? Making someone forget about this guy.
I guess it's either a side effect of something else.
But she hasn't completely forgotten about him.
Yeah, sometimes
Happened in the last 2 weeks.
I get, for one, everyone's got to make a living. But if you think it's a worthwhile thing to come by and fucking ring on people's doorbells on Sunday afternoon because you know they're going to be home for some bullshit, like, skiing thing, are you looking to sell your home? Get fucked. It's going to be people who come and harass me on a Sunday afternoon. That's the realtor I'm going to go with? Get the fuck out of here. Jesus. Anyway, that's who's making Anna go bananas right now. So she says, I think the last thing she said was that hopefully you weren't going to require her help with your clinic.
Nah, No, we're hoping not to have that many bodies coming through there.
I've read in the paper. I shouldn't expect to find more of, and she kind of gestures to your stitching, your kind any longer. You found a resolution to that mystery?
It's not completely solved, unfortunately. It's still at large, but I think we found the culprit. But still on the loose.
So there are 3 of you living now.
That I know of.
And by this point, she sort of led you to her office, and she closes the door behind. We don't know each other well, Doctor, but I imagine that could be an upsetting revelation.
There's nothing about my past that doesn't trouble me, unfortunately.
Then, from one physician to another, allow me to write a prescription. She turns around, pours 2 drinks, places one in front of you and one in front of her. Now, how might I assist you?
I wondered if a body come through here by the name of Carter Harrington.
The rich man? Yes. Have they hired you? Not much of a mystery to there, other than the identity of the murderer.
Well, that's why I was interested. There was talk of bludgeoning, some sort of blunt instrument.
She places a cigarillo in her mouth, gets up once again. She looks at you, looks at the drink, and kind of like, doctor's orders.
Yeah, I'll take a drink.
She goes into the things, pulls out the one of the files, places it down. Yes, blunt force trauma. Over and over and over. It was not a pretty end. And she turns the illustrations, so like there would be markings and whatnot of all the different, on the kind of like diagram of the body. And like, yeah, this is someone who is beaten to death while conscious and while trying to protect themselves. There's injuries all over the hands, and all seemingly from the same large device. Someone took a large metal pole and just beat this guy to death with it.
This pole, was there any sort of imprint from it? Any sort of pattern?
Not that I could discern. Smooth, not hard edges. I can tell you, all of these wounds, all from the front. He either defended himself or someone wished to have him know what was happening. It's only the last wound that would have proved immediately fatal. You can see there's a huge fracture of the skull right in the front.
So there was no wounds from behind, nothing, so they would have...
No.
They'd have seen him coming.
He was not struck. He was not struck from behind and set upon. If I were to guess, the initial blows came while standing. The final, while he was on the ground. And she mimes out, kind of striking someone with one hand down.
And I'll try and sort of... Could you sort of estimate the size of the weapon?
You can like do it yourself just from the notes. She would have had notes of what we're doing there. Yeah. It's all the same thing. It's a metal pole.
But I mean, would it be consistent with a sort of cane sort of size? Or would it be wider? Yeah, okay. It's
a pole maybe an inch, maybe a little bit more. And
a cane would be strong enough to do it without breaking or...
To have something that solid, if you have difficulty walking, I cannot imagine that you would want to use that to help stabilize yourself. There's an enormous amount of force that was being applied here. If it was a cane, an iron shod, or otherwise metal shod, I can't think that it would have... I did not find any splinters, any other evidence to suggest that something was damaged. If I were to guess, a solid metal pole applied over and over and over while he was watching. Have you any idea who might want to do such a thing?
Not yet. But,
it always
I didn't know.
It's remarkable, Adam. You think it not enough for you to take on 2 professions already? You've yet added a 3rd to your repertoire?
Wow. The others do most of the investigating.
I suppose if you are made up of multiple people, it's not surprising you would have a variety of interests.
I like to keep myself busy.
Well, this
So
one
my
should
man
keep
of
you busy.
parts.
My thoughts don't trouble me as much when my mind is busy.
Well, I'm certain that you know better than any who would canvass with you that if you wish to speak to an alienist who would be discreet, I could make such references. And if you will not indulge in such novel science, and she gestures to the drink in front of you, my bar is always open.
A kind offer.
She toasts. Anything else you wish to discuss with Dr. Reed?
No, I thank you for your assistance once again. And should ever you need my help to determine a death or anything that you may do down here, then you've only got to ask.
She nods. If I will not be seeing patchwork people showing up any longer, it is one less mystery for me to burden the constabulary with. So I'll take that as a thanks. The offer is honest. Anytime, Doctor. Adam. She puts her chin back in. But like your patients, mine will not wait for me. They don't complain, but they do start to stink.
Okay, I'll leave you to your work. Thanks again.
Anytime. So, with you leaving the morgue and with our latest mystery in hand, that brings us to the end of our session. So, for those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for part 1 of the Guile of the Gaslight Man. And for those listening at home, as is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, the campaign, or the game we're playing, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. There's also a link down below to the Dungeon Musings Discord server, where all of us are active. We have channels there dedicated to this campaign, most campaigns we run on the channel, as well as a ton of other great channels like Finding a Group or GM Discussion or just video game discussion. There's a great community that has built up over the years over there, and you are more than welcome to join us. There's also a link down below to something called to our friends at Noble Knight Games. Noble Knight Games is the preeminent unionized retailer of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs in North America and in Paridar. They have a terrific selection of new role-playing games, board games, and card games, but they have an unmatched selection of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs. And if they do not have something in their extensive catalog in stock, you can put it on a want list, and they'll send you an email when it comes in, and you can pick it up at your leisure. When you make a purchase of $10 or more through their website, be sure to enter the code MuserNight. All caps, all one word. It's in the description of the video, and you will save yourself 10% on your purchase. The next... sorry, that will be good until... Sorry, Anna is here and saying hi. You want to come up? Come on. Hold on, Anna wants to say hi. Come on up. No, not down there. And is determined to get to the chords to cut the outro short. I sympathize. Anna. There's also a link down below to something called Heroes Save Villages. That is the charity fundraising campaign we run on the channel. It benefits the SOS Children's Villages International Charity, a really incredible organization active in over 130 countries, benefiting over 80,000 orphaned and abandoned children, including ongoing relief efforts in a bunch of crisis areas at the time of recording. You can learn all about it by following that link, and if you make a donation through that link, it goes directly to SOS Children's Villages International. None of it goes to the channel or any other middleman. It just goes to help out the kids who benefit from their services. As a small way of saying thank you, starting in late July 2024, if you make a $25 donation or have since January 1st, 2024, you will be able to vote on the charity sessions for the last half of our year. The charity sessions will be assembled through the votes of the donors to help determine what game we're playing, where we're playing it, and things like that. And you'll be able to learn all about that starting in late July on the Charity Initiatives channel on the Dungeon Musings Discord server. The last thing I will say is an enormous thank you to our stalwart illuminators. So, Darren, Angolf, and James, thank you so much for joining me today, guys. Congratulations on undertaking yet another mystery under the Spires of Paridar. So, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time, but until then, we hope that we gave you a few hours to take your mind off the troubles of our world and think about the troubles and mysteries that our heroes are uncovering, our illuminators are uncovering under the Spires of Paridar. And until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.